Hey, ya YouTubers, Tasman here, bringing you another episode of Learn JavaScript with Foundry VTT. And well, I can't really say in our last episode because that was a long time ago. So I believe we were talking about objects in the last episode we did of this or something. Maybe it was arrays. No, I think it was objects. However, I do also have to say that I thought this video was already uploaded, and that the promises video was going up today. And when I went to go look at my previous video so I knew what I was doing, I found that I never did upload this one, and I already deleted it. So I get to do it again. And in my next video, I reference where I was talking in this video about, Pathfinder 2 and how easy it is basically to get into Pathfinder 2, and that maybe what I would do is for my Thursday video is upload maybe a how to get into Pathfinder 2 using Foundry. And one of the great things that I think I mentioned in the other video that will be next week is that it's all free. Basically, Paizo has given their blessing to the Foundry developers that they can use basically all their content. They also have the Archives of Nethys, I think is the name of it, which is basically a web reference. And it's not, they don't actually own it, but they've given their blessing to the people that created the Archives of Nethys. If you want to know how to get there, basically if you do, if you type pf 2e and then archive, in chat you'll get something that pops up, something about Archives of Nethys. Hold on, I'll show you maybe. Well, let me do this. Let me go. I'll do this really quick. I wasn't planning on doing much with this, but anyway. So if for your search, if you just do something like pf2e and then archive, and you have to spell it right apparently. If I hit enter on that, one of the first things is going to be this very first one right here that says https 2eaonprd.com, and this is the Archives of Nethys. And in here you actually have absolutely everything that's in the core rule book, the bestiaries or bestiaries, I'm not sure how to say that really yet. But basically everything you need. If you're looking to create a character, I think under Player's Guide, actually character creation here gives you everything. And it's not like they've toned it down where it's only the SRD content of D&D. It's actually everything. If we go look at classes, for example, in the core rule book, you only get 12. But as you can see here, we even have more because it includes things that might be in any other rule book and such. So that's all I'm going to do there. I just wanted to point to that, but it's all free. And the people that actually make the Pathfinder 2e module or system for Foundry has their blessing. So you actually have access to everything right in Foundry. And the other really nice thing is there's a lot more automation without having to have lots of modules and stuff. But anyway, maybe this Thursday or maybe next Thursday when the actual other video where I talk about it more comes out, we'll do that. So as you can see, we're in Foundry Virtual Tabletop version 10, build 291. Really doesn't matter what system you're in. You could be doing this in Pathfinder. You could be doing it in System Builder. You could be doing it in DCC or whatever. So as you can see here, I already have promises. We're not going to look at that. But I went and cleared out my callbacks. So it's clear again, and we get to start over. Yay! So let's go ahead and jump right in. And maybe I'll even do a better job than I did last time. I don't know. So we're going to hit F12 so we can get our little debug window, or whatever you want to call it, the console. And we're going to jump right in. So one thing we've learned about functions, and as you see here, we actually have our function main. In most programming languages, you need to declare a function prior to calling a function. However, with JavaScript, and let's just do callbacks, CALLBACKS, that's not necessarily a thing you need to do. So if I wanted to come in here and call a function called 1, like that, REME, and remember that you can call a function BF before it is DCLAIRED. All right, maybe there's misspellings in there, I don't know. So anyway, in this case, we can actually call our function even before it's ever been declared. So, you know, we have to declare it somewhere. In other words, we will get an error that the function doesn't exist, but we can actually come down here and say function 1, and we won't pass it anything, but we'll go ahead and have it do console log the word 1. With a bang, maybe. And I don't want that necessarily. Wouldn't hurt, but that's okay. And this will work fine. And the reason this does, as far as I understand, is Java actually does 2 passes of your code. One is basically to enter it into memory, and then the second one is to actually execute it. So what will happen is JavaScript will run this to execute it and put it into memory. It'll say, okay, I have a function main, I'm going to throw that in memory. Here's my call to main, I'm going to throw that down here. Then it, you know, inside of main, it'll actually say, okay, I have 1, and down here's the call, and it'll put that all in memory. So the second time it runs, it says, okay, 1, oh, I don't have it here, let me check my cached memory or whatever, and it's able to pull it up. So if we were to execute this, you'll see we get 1, no problems at all. Most other, if not all other programming languages will not work this way, and I believe it's just because it doesn't pass through twice. It just reads it top to bottom and executes it, and without the exception of loop or subroutines, functions, whatever you want to call them, it never goes up to a prior piece of code. It just continues down in a line until it's finished. But with JavaScript, we can actually do this. And then also, the output of functions, this is kind of obvious, but basically the function sequence is basically ran in the order that they're called, not defined. So we could have our function 1 here, and after that we could have, you know, we could put 2 in front of it, do functi function 2, and we could say the same type thing. In fact, I should probably just copy and paste because I'm a slow typer. Let's do this. Oh, I can't do that, I forgot. I have to hit Control C and Control V, and let's do 2 here. TWO, and maybe let's stick an emoji just for giggles. Maybe the peace sign, which is the number 2. There we go. And well, right now that's never being called, but if we come down here and actually call to, as far as we're gonna see, it's actually running in order. We'll get 1, 2. It's not gonna care what order they're actually. What am I doing here? Function 2. I didn't want the equals there yet. So we have function 2 and it will be called after it because it's going to go, okay, it's called here and it's called here. So if we run this, we get 1, 2 with our little emoji. So let's add a little note here saying FUNCT function sequence, maybe SEQUENC sequences are ran the other in the order they, and this if you ask me, this just makes sense that it's not going to run a function declaration or the actual function until it's been called. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Oh wow, are ran in order they are called, not D-C-L-A-I-R-E-D. Is that spelled right? I think so. All right, so that means we could have a function down here just to, you know, really drive things home. And as we've also talked in the past with functions, just kind of this kind of a recap on functions, is we can do it as, you know, function. We could do, you know, we could actually do our function here as a function expression. We could actually change this, say const, const, and say 2 equals funct function, like that. We could do as an arrow function, which is kind of similar. We do const three equals, and then we could do it as an arrow function, like that. We'll just take this and maybe just change it up a little to keep it fresh. We'll just do 3 with a period or something. I don't know. 3 period. And then if we put our call like so, now we'll just get a nice little 1, 2, and 3. All right. So now let's move on a little bit, and we'll talk now about function callbacks. Not function callbacks, just callbacks. So let's do console.log, the other .log, and I'll go ahead. Whoops, I did that wrong. All right, so we'll just do that so we have a nice little space in our thing. Now let's talk about callback functions. Which is basically a function that calls a function. A function that calls, oops, I forgot to put the thing. Let's see, calls calls a function. And usually, you know, this might be a function to access a database or a character sheet or something else. It's just something where it needs to do something, and it might not return in a timely manner, but you don't want the page to just freeze until it does it. You want it to kind of come back. Now, I think I've said this before, but Java is a synchronous language. I always mess this up too, so hopefully I'm getting it right. Which means it only can run one thing at a time. Yes, we can run where we go back up, and it does, you know, do that caching type of thing. But once this one is ran, it will never come back to that. It might come to these multiple times. If I call one again down here, it'll go back to this one right here. But this one will only be called once, and it will progressively go down. Now, it if one, for example, was to access a database, two is each of these were accessing a database, one would actually have to access the database, and once it's done doing everything with that database or external call or whatever you want to call it, it would basically hang the program or the execution until it got done, and then the next one would run, and it would run its thing, and it would do its thing until it was completely done. And then 3 would run, which would do its thing. And basically the program will stop running until all the sequences have ran. So we have some things that are called callback functions. One of the most popular ones, I guess, is one called set timeout. And if I remember right, this is not actually a JavaScript function. This is actually a function of browsers. So the browsers, and I believe all of them actually have this ability. I don't think it's actually a JavaScript thing, but they have a thing called set timeout. And what this is kind of a way to simulate accessing something external. So in this case, we're going to use the set timeout function. We're going to pass it what function is called, and then it has a second parameter or a second property that we tell it in milliseconds how long we wait for that callback to come back, or how long it waits before it does it. So what this is going to do, we're going to go ahead and just create a function, funct function, callbacks. Should I do that? That's fine. So we're going to do function callbacks, and we're going to set up various callbacks inside this one function to kind of demonstrate this. So let's say our first one, we're going to do set timeout, like so. And I believe, no, I'm not going to say anything there because I don't think it's accurate. So we're going to call 1 here. And we are going to have it call it, but it's not going to return 1 for 1,000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. So if we put 1, 1, 2, 3 like so, now we'll see, basically we'll see the thing come to an end, and then a second later we'll actually see this pop up. So if we do it, oh wait, we're not calling it. Never mind, I lied. It helps to actually call your function. I'm like, okay, this is longer than a second. Yeah, we never called our function. So if we come down here and do callbacks, and we call it, and then actually to make it more obvious that our whole program is finished, but this is not finished, we're going to actually do a console.log, and we'll output done running the program. So we have done running the program, exclamation point, because we like to really emphasize it. So now if we run this, you'll see done running the program, and after that one comes up. So this seems to be defying what everything we just said. It seems like, well, wait a minute, maybe JavaScript is multi-threaded. But no, what this callback is doing is it is saying, all right, I'm going to set a timeout for 1. It needs to be done within this time. And what it's going to do is every millisecond or what, I don't know the actual number, but the program, as it continues on, is going to keep calling or checking back and saying, hey, are you done? And it'll say, nope, hasn't been a second. Hey, are you done? On each of these lines, it will check back and say, hey, are you done? Right? When it gets to this one, it says, hey, are you done? It says no. So then it comes out and says, all right, well, I don't have anything else to run. I'm just going to keep checking back to see if it's done. And then finally, when this 1 second has elapsed, we get, hey, are you done? It says, yep, here is the value that I'm returning, and then we get back our thing. So like I said, I guess if you might use set timeout in your actual thing if you want to simulate that it's doing some number crunching, but really this is just kind of a delay tactic. So let's go ahead and look at some other things here. Let's set up some other ones, and let's do set timeout, and let's have a call number 2. And we'll have it be 6,000 milliseconds. So now if you're thinking, I wonder what this does, it's going to run the whole program. We're going to get to this done running. Basically a second later, we're going to get 1. 6 seconds later, we're going to get 2. So let's go ahead and see if that's what we get. Let's go ahead and clear it. And 1. And 6 seconds takes a while. Unless I did something wrong. Oh, dude, I did 60 seconds. Oh, that's not good. All right, well, in 60 seconds, we're going to see 2 pop up there. So it'll be a little bit longer. So we're going to continue, but we will actually see 2 pop up there. Watch how many zeros you have there. All right. So also we can, if we wanted here in our little thing, we could call 3. So we could come down here and do just call 3. And this is because our set callbacks is just a function that we've created. There's 2. It will just do this. Now, what do you think will happen when we run this? I'm going to give you a second, or you can pause it here to think what is going to happen when we run this now. What is the order of our numbers? And this time we'll go ahead and run it, and we'll see if you're right. See, that's much better. It was only 6 seconds. So did you think it was actually going to say 3 before it said done running the program? Or did you think it might say done running the program, then 3, then 1, then 2? Hopefully you're right, because I can't hear what you're saying. All right, so now let's also go look. We can also use the set timeout and actually create an arrow function within set timeout. We just have to remember that same type of the parameters or properties that we need to do. So if we do set timeout, I need that, it'd be in uppercase. And in here, basically, we'll go ahead and throw that up there. We could create an arrow function. We could say, we're not pulling, or we're not receiving anything. We're going to do our arrow function, and with an arrow function, it automatically is going to return what's on the opposite side of our arrow. If there's only a single, if there's only a single statement and it's returnable, it will actually do it. But a lot of times for me, I like to actually have the little little brackets, the braces. We're not going to do it, but I do like it just because, to me, this seems easier to read and follow than just a single line. So like this, console.log. So we'll actually be able to return this. And let's do FOUR and maybe 3 dots, just make it a little different. And of course it does need to be in quotes. And then, of course, because this is our set timeout function, I need to put one more parenthesis there. And we need to do comma, and let's have this be 3,000 seconds, or 3,000 milliseconds, not seconds. So now can you think of what it's going to do? If you want to think about it for a second, go ahead and pause the video, and when you're ready, continue, and we'll just run it and see if you're right. we get an error. That's not what we want. Let's see. So reference error, set timeout. I must have spelled something wrong. Set. Oh, I have uppercase, so time out. There we go. All right, let's try this again. And there you go. Hopefully that is exactly what you thought it would do. All right, so we're going to do one more just to show the example of creating an anonymous function, which is kind of like our function, well, just like declaring a new function, I guess, that doesn't have a name though. So we'll just do set timeout and do this. And then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put a space in here so it stops thinking that I'm closing my other parenthesis. So we're going to do function, and we're going to do our parentheses there, and then we're going to simply have our actual thing we're doing, which we're going to output console.log and parentheses, and we haven't done all caps. Let's do that. So we'll do 5. We have our close. Let me see, where am I at? There's that. Oh, I still got rid of the stupid other parenthesis. So comma, and let's set this to 2000. And there we go. I think that is all. We have an opening and closing. Closing, opening, closing. Opening and closing. I think actually this is on the wrong side. That's why I didn't close that one. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead once again. Can you guess what the results are going to be? Let's see if you're right. So we get 3 done, 1, 5, 4, and 2. So hopefully that helps you understand callbacks. Normally you wouldn't just use the set timeout. That's where you would actually have your code that is accessing some kind of external thing, and it would just keep checking back until it finishes. So there are various callback functions. We just did the set timeout one. You can do a Google search for JavaScript and callback functions, and actually it will give you the list of the others. It didn't make a lot of sense for me to jump into any of the others because I don't actually have a data source to access or anything else. So we're just kind of simulating it with the set timeout. So that's a little homework for you to do if you want to know more and how to use it specifically. One thing that can happen with this is you can actually have these nested callbacks where you get into something called callback hell, because you have a callback that's actually calling callback, and you end up, it's really confusing code to look at, and usually it's frowned upon. But anyway, I think that will do for this video. I think I covered what I did last time. I sure hope so. Or maybe even better. I don't know. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Click the little notification bell. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord and my other channels. And don't forget to tell other people about my channel. Come check it out. If they like what they see, they can sub. We can grow the channel. And, everybody's happy. And that is it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.